Handling events in React. There are some differences between handling Reacts in React and DOM. Handling events with React element is similar to handling events on DOM element, but there are some differences. First of all, React events are named using camel case rather than lowercase, and with JSX you pass a function as the event handler rather than a string. Let's try this in action. For example, we want to create a button with on-click say hello. In document object model, we use this syntax, but it's slightly different in React, which it is like this. Let's implement this one in React start point. We fork this URL here. Here we create. We want to handle the on-click on this button. On-click. And here we name the function, for example, click handler. And inside the render function, we create the click handler. Clicked. If we click on the click me, the event raised and alert click will be run. Great. Let's make the click handler as a method of app class. We put this dot before click handler and put the function outside of render function, and we treat it as a method and click. You see it works. Another difference is that you cannot return false to prevent default behavior in React. You must call prevent default explicitly. For example, with plain HTML, to prevent the default link behavior of opening a new page, you can write this one. You see here on click event, we return false, and the click me will not return you to another page because it prevents its default behavior because there is a return false here. But in React, you should handle the default behavior inside the click handler method. So here you see, to prevent going to another page, you have to pass the E as argument and run the prevent default method of E to prevent the link to go to another page and do the default behavior. It's important to know the meaning of this. You have to be careful about the meaning of this in JSX callbacks. In JavaScript, class methods are not bound by default. Let's see this in this sample. Here, if you want to console.log this, use the browser console and press click me, you see that this point to window, not the app object. So you do not have access to the app object. For example, let's create a constructor and run super there and set the default state is clicked false. Here you cannot use this dot set state is clicked true. Here I use a span to show this dot state dot is clicked. And a set is to now, and here when user click there, I set it to yes and create a space. You see here when I click on click me, it doesn't change the value of state, and that's because this dot set state is not a function, because this does not point to the app. To use this inside a method of the app class, you need to bind this to this method. To do this, you need bind it inside the constructor of component. This dot click handler, set it to this dot click handler dot bind this. You see, with this command, click handler have access to this, which here this mentioned to app object. You see, click handler work here because this points to app object. If calling bind annoys you, there are two ways you can get around this. If you are using the experimental public class field syntax, you can use class fields to correctly bind callback. Let's change the click handler to this one. So I comment this line. Okay, and here I change it to public class field syntax. You see, and it works too without binding explicitly. The second way is using inside the onClick, and it's like this. Instead of writing this .click handler, you can use this syntax. Use arrow function like this. And here you see it works too. But the point is that you need to pass the E argument, which is a React object that hold the properties of event there. So we can have access the event object here. The last point of this course is about passing argument to event handlers. Inside a loop, it's common to want to pass an extra parameter to an event handler. For example, if ID is the roof ID, either of the following would work. The first style is unclick E explicitly as an arrow function goes to the delete roof, and in the second form it uses the bind method to bind the this and also the ID to the delete row method. With an arrow function, we have to pass it explicitly, but with the bind, any further argument are automatically forwarded. I mean the E as an event object in React. Let's see this in action. Here, if you want to pass another argument, like let's see inside render, I define a const message and I want to pass this variable as an argument to this function. I have to pass msg, and here I named the argument m and console.log m. So when I click here, let's comment this one because we do not need this log anymore. And here E and M, which I mean the M value should be high. You see, the high will be forwarded to click handler method here, and you can have access the E. Also, you can use the second form, which is like this. Instead of arrow function, you use bind method and pass this and message. So here you should replace M and E, and when you click on click me, you will see high as a first argument of click handler. Very good. So we can pass another argument like MSG beside this to the click handler of a button, and it's very important to handling events in React because you have to pass some other arguments other than this. Very good. I hope you learned how to handle method in React with this lesson, and follow another lesson in codingwithbasir.com.